Hi friends, hello. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Craft Your Joy Live. Woo! Holy smokes. So right before we went live, everything just kind of shut down. And I'm just looking at my camera up here. A whole bunch of weird things just happened. So right before we went live. So super fun. There's something hanging in the corner. All right, friends, we're just going to go for it today. Okay, today is going to be super relaxed and chill. Last week in the tutorial, in our card tutorial, I shared how I wanted to slow things down a bit this year because part of my theme with Craft Your Joy is about pausing, slowing things down, and taking the time to craft your joy. And I felt like sometimes my tutorials, out of the excitement of nerding out, was getting to a point where like, oh, let's try this, I want to share this. So I was kind of feeling overwhelmed. And I know in life now many of us are feeling a bit overwhelmed with everything that's coming at us. So I really just want to be intentional this year with you, with the tutorials I share with you and the value I bring to you, and slow things down and be very intentional so that we can all learn together. And I also feel like I'm a visual learner, an audible learner. So like I also feel like when you slow things down and break things down into their smallest parts, we learn better and we get better muscle memory. Okay, so we're going to dive in. Hi friends. And also I'm trying a new time today. Normally we go live at 11:30. I wanted to try today at noon and maybe start to try a couple things a little bit later for our friends on the Pacific, in our Pacific time zone. So I see people popping in. Hi, Judith. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Rhonda. Hello, Mary. Susanna. Hello, everyone from Finland. Welcome. All right, today's tutorial is not a card tutorial. Today's tutorial is a watercolor paint and chat. So if you're on my email list, I did send along. Hi, Patty. Patty just jumped in from Pennsylvania. Hi, Pennsylvania. I'm Maryland. Hi, Patty. Okay, I'm just going to go down to the down camera real quick, which like 2 seconds before we went live, this camera was tilted wrong. So there you go. It was like pointing out the window. Go figure. You know, weirder things have happened. Okay, if you're on my email list, I sent this out in the email. Let's paint a lemon wreath. Also, it's down below in the description where you can click on it and get the free download. If you're painting it with me now, fantastic, no worries. If you're going to paint it again later, then you know how to get the download. So, good morning, Barbara from Northern California. All right, so it's morning there for sure, but it's not so super early. Okay. So there's going to be two parts to our tutorial today, or kind of like 3, but I'm going to break it down really simply. We are going to paint this lemon wreath, and we're going to talk about yellows and greens, and I'm going to share some kind of fun watercolor finds lately and talk about 2 different brands. I'm not going to really talk about them. I'm going to use them and show them to you. I've got Daniel Smith and Winsor Newton with me today. Winnie Newt and Danny Smith have popped into the studio to have some fun watercolor time with us. So I'm going to share some of that today. I'm also going to do a little bit of color mixing to show just a little tiny bit of color mixing to talk about how you can create your own greens, but I'm going to share a couple of my favorite greens. And then, as promised, last week, or I think the week before, I was just throwing out some ideas of things that to see if there's interest. And there was some interest in learning about some of the specialty brushes that are out there. Now, there's so many. I could have brought like 12 into the mix today, but I brought one. We're going to talk about the Dagger brush. It's kind of it's called a Dagger striper brush. And it's basically looks like a sword. It looks like, some people might call it the sword brush, but I'm going to show you how you can use this brush. You don't need this brush to do what we're doing today. You just need a brush. But this brush, I'm going to show you some specialty techniques on how to do some leafery. Woo! All right, and we're going to paint this. So let's get started with some color and a little bit of color mixing. Now, I've got a couple different watercolor things here. I've got some Strathmore Ready Cut watercolor. I have some watercolor paper. This is, I think this is Arsh's paper that I printed my lemon illustration on. You could have printed on anything that you want. And then I've got some Strathmore Ready Cut watercolor to kind of go through some techniques with the Dagger brush. But first I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the colors that I'm going to use today. So I've got Winnie Newt and I have Daniel Smith here. And I have all of these colors kind of lined up right here. I'm not using all of these colors. I wanted to bring them out and show them to you. Let's just grab, we've got Winsor Newton, Naples Yellow, French Ultramarine. I'm just bringing out some of my favorites. And actually, these were the things that were sitting on my desk too. But I just wanted to bring them out and kind of show them. Wow, that's really like, maybe the brightness is up a little bit too much. There we go. There. Just to kind of show them and some of these colors that we're going to use. We're going to use Winsor Lemon today and probably some of these Daniel. So I'm going to mix these two brands together today. But I just kind of wanted to show you that you don't need all of these specialty greens. Some of the greens that I'm just showing you some of my specialty green favorites. I've talked about Cascade Green so many times on the channel. This is a Daniel Smith color. I absolutely love it. We're going to use that today. We're probably going to use the Sap Green too. This is a Perylene green. I love this green for leafery. It almost at its mass tone, which means I'm using it at that 100% milk, feels like it's got a little, it's dark. It's like a really dark foresty green. I love that. And undersea green. I just kind of brought these greens out today just to show you. And then our tried and true blues, French Ultramarine or Ultramarine and Winsor Blue. This is like a phthalo blue. But I brought out a specialty blue today from Daniel Smith called Mayan Blue Genuine. And I've got two different yellows here, a Nickel Azo Yellow and a Hansa Yellow Light. So different kind of yellow combinations. Just going to experiment with first doing a mini little mixing tutorial where we're going to mix some yellow and our blues and create some greens. And we have a little visitor just popping in. He's very curious today. Dash, you need to pop out, baby. There we go. So what he does is he sees what's going on my screen and he wants to play with it. Good times, friends. The cat. All right, so I've got this little sketchbook. It's a Winsor Newton sketchbook. Super fun. I'm going to show you a couple new to me products that I just recently picked up if we have time today. If not, because I don't want to go over time. I know that, we're trying to keep this within the lunch hour. So first, what I want to do is I'm going to talk about these specialty greens when we go to paint the wreath. But I want to do two things here in this nerdy part of our tutorial. And I want to go over how you can mix up your own greens. You only need two colors. And we'll do a little something with this Dagger brush and make that super fun. So I see more people have popped in. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Let me know in the chat if normally I go live at either 11 or 11:30. I'm trying this noon Eastern, and I'm perhaps going to try 1 Eastern to try to find some good timings for people. Okay, I'm going to grab two colors here for my green. Let's do, a French Ultramarine. I'm going to grab Winsor Lemon and French Ultramarine, and then I'm going to grab two colors from Daniel Smith so we can see what kind of different greens that you can get. Good morning. Hansa Yellow Light and Mayan Blue Genuine. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of my Winsor Lemon. Oh, this cat is mischievous today. Put this down here. I think this right here, this is French Ultramarine, and that is Winsor Blue, which is phthalo blue. I'll put a little bit more of that French ultramarine down. And then over here, I'm going to put a little bit of this Hansa Yellow Light. And I'm going to take a little bit of this Mayan Blue Genuine. And we're just going to make some fun mixes, fun greens, and see. Cheryl said, I like this time for Pacificus. I know, Cheryl, there was a couple of folks that have, like Dawn Brenner has shared, a couple people have shared a couple, like, hey, can I try to do something in a different time? And I'm like, yeah, let's try it. Let's try a couple things out and see what we can do. I've got some water here, and I'm using my round brush. I've got a number 10 round brush for my mixing. Now, I want to get a little bit of yellow. There's a couple ways we can do some color mixing. I'm going to take a little bit of that Winsor yellow, put it right there, clean my brush, and then take some of that ultramarine blue, mix it in, and see what kind of greens I'm getting, and adding and going back and forth. So that green right there, I've got like a 2% milk here too. I have a tendency to have too much water going. So let's add a little bit more yellow. Try to get this consistency mix up a little bit. Dashy, you can't sit there the whole time, buddy. You can only see he's like sitting right here. Nope, can't get in there. He's always trying to drink the paint water too. So let's stay out of there. Alrighty, adding some blue, adding a little bit more yellow. Just trying to get my consistency going. So this mix right here is a little bit more of a yellow green. But look, see how I can go back and forth and just kind of keep playing. I'm going to add a little more blue to this mix. You can even do this on your paper. Like I'm mixing it. Do you see this curious little head popping in? He also tries to eat paint. Get out. Get. I don't want to spray him, but I'm going to just nudge him along. Move along, little man. Okay. Hi, Marilyn. Marilyn's just joining. Okay, so we're just mixing up some greens. And I just keep kind of going back and forth till I get kind of the greens that I wanted. These are more blue greens. This is more yellow green. This is turning more into a sap green. So that's kind of a good mix there. Now I'm going to show you if I take a little bit of this yellow and put it on my paper. Okay, and then I'm mixing some of this blue like right into it. I can mix right on my paper. And some people prefer when they're painting to mix right on their paper. And I think you can do a combination of both, right? You can, depending upon your work, what you're working on. And if we're working like wet into wet, where you've seen me drop colors in on top of other colors. And we're going to be doing that today. And that's mixing on our paper, which is really, really, really cute. Patty, he is adorable, but he is mischievous. He is mischievous, but super cute. All right, I'm going to do this combination again with the Daniel Smith yellow. What color did I use? I used Hansa Yellow Light, which is a very similar to a lemon yellow. And then I'm adding some of that Mayan blue in there. Man, I'm having trouble getting my consistency the way I want it to because this brush is really wet. There we go. Let's add some yellow in there. Let's see what we get. Really interesting color mix, but not unlike what we see up here. Let's add a little bit more of that Mayan yellow, Mayan Genuine, which is a granulating color. And I can get more of a blue green going. Kind of love this. Look at this one right here. I'm hoping that you can see when you use ultramarine colors, that's a granulating color, and you can start to see some of those granules happening, that granulation, where the pigment, the fine ground pigment is separating with the water and it's separating from its binder. When you do color mixes like this, It's super, super fun. So I want to really get some, I'm going to grab some more of that Mayan Blue Genuine. Oh, Marilyn, I'm so sorry. I'm just reading your comment. I'm so sorry you've had a lot of bumps in the road. I'm hoping that 2025 will be a better year. And I'm glad that you're here, taking a time to kind of craft your joy. Do a little bit of some time with for yourself. All right, I'm taking a little bit of that Mayan Blue Genuine and mixing that in. And that's a really interesting mix. Oh my goodness, this kitty. You need to move along. I'm going to have to pick you up. I love you. But go down. Go play. There we go. Okay, so some really interesting mixes. So, why is it important to know how to mix colors? Because if you're just getting started out, it's kind of ideal when you're learning how to use the watercolors you have. And if you have like a little palette or a little set of 12, it's a great way to learn your colors and learn how they mix. Do I always focus on color mixing? No, I'm not really sure why my screen just turned blue either, by the way. Because I like so many different colors. Let me know in the chat if everything just turned blue on the screen, because it looks kind of blue to me. Boy, we are having like some tech funsies today. Let's see if my lights are affecting it. Could be. All right, we're going to keep going, friends. But let me know in the chat if everything turned blue compared to like my face. So I'm not really sure like what happened, but we're just gonna roll with it. Try to bring up our brightness a little bit. It's been a wild day. A wild day. Annie says kind of blue. Here, let's just go back to my front face. Let's see what's happening. All right, not on your screen. Maybe it's just my screen. And you know what? The cat was running across. He probably hit something. So let's get back to it. I really, really wonder why this is blue. This is so strange. So strange. Maybe a bit. So everybody's saying it's maybe a bit. All right, let's figure out what's going on here. My temperature probably changed. So one of the other reasons, like why let me reset everything. One of the other reasons why I have been playing with different times of day is because I get different lighting. Even though I have studio lights, I do have windows. This is a very well lit room. So hopefully that blue is changed up a little bit, and it might change. I'm going to take my face off really quick. I don't want to spend so much time trying to figure this out that we don't get to our tutorial. But I'm going to try to dampen the light a little bit and see if that improves it. And it looks like it might maybe have improved it a little. All right, we're going to just get going. It's been a weird day. Okay, all right, friends. So yellow and blue will make green every time, right? So when you're working with your brands of watercolors, you can play with them and you can get different variations of greens. Now, this is great. This is wonderful. I love it. And you can keep playing and going back and forth. Or if you really, really want, you can just find those greens that you really love and use them. So like some of those greens that I really love that are what they call convenience colors, they're already pre-made for you, are sap green, perylene green, viridian green, and cascade green. I just love them. We're going to use them today. We're going to play around. We're going to do a little mixing, and we're going to use them today. Okay? So I hope that was a little, we've done a couple times, we've done mixing greens, but I hope that was kind of a little bit different or a little bit more interesting for you. Now, let's get on to the Dagger brush. And the cat is really, you're going to have to not do that, buddy. All right, here's the Dagger brush. The Dagger brush, this is a Dagger brush called the Silver Ruby Satin. It's a 1/2 inch. There's lots of different Dagger brushes in different brands. You could even make one with a brush. Like if you have a brush in your stash that maybe you ruined somehow, or just find a craft brush to try this technique out, and just take a really good sharp scissors and just kind of cut it on an angle. You could practice this technique with something that you have. You don't necessarily have to buy the Dagger brush, but the Dagger brush is kind of fun. It's called the Dagger Striper. We're going to use this Windsor blue, and I'm going to need some more green. So let's go ahead and throw some sap green in here. Whoa. I'm using, now the cat's freaking out because the curtain's closed on the window. You big weirdo. There. Whole day. Okay. So the Dagger brush is kind of fun. The reason why I like it is it's just kind of fun. It's a specialty brush. I don't use it that much on the channel. I might start using it because I've kind of reintroduced myself to it and playing with it. So I'm going to pick up some of this green. I've got a good amount of it here. Probably like between 100% milk and we're at pretty much 100% milk. Now the cool things you can do with this brush is, look, we can get a decent straight line. That's kind of fun, right? You can get a decent straight line with a round brush as well. But what I like about it is that you can lay it on its side and you can kind of create some shapes, right? So this is kind of a really fun leafery shape. So I have shared many times on this channel, like that's a really neat kind of whooshy shape. I'm going to the left here, but you could go to the right. Oh, we need a little more water. You could go to the right and look at that leafery shape that you can get. You can also, like, we've been doing this a little bit where we're dipping our brush in and kind of loading up our color. Look at how nice that is if you want to load up some color. Oh, that's really nice. This one also holds a lot of water. So you could really just kind of play with this and use that angle. Like if I'm going to use, I need some more. If I'm going to use that angle, look, I can create a really nice long wash. So that's kind of nice. It's an option. Can you do this with a round brush? Sure you can. You could totally do it with a round brush. But it's kind of fun to like try something new. So I'm holding it straight. And I can just kind of whoosh and just kind of play with the different kind of brush strokes that I'm getting. And I really enjoy just doing, like today we're painting into an illustration and we're going to do some wet into wet and wet into dry. But I really, when I'm approaching some of my paintings, I really enjoy finding these little specialty brushes and that can add a little bit of extra character to my, oh my goodness, kitty, come on. Again, a little extra character to my work. And like these little leafery, and everyone knows I love leafery. These little leafery things that you can do are just kind of fun. So that's the specialty brush, the Dagger Striper. So many fun things that you can do with it. And again, you can create one yourself. So, okay, let's move along. And let's get to painting. I've got all kinds of colors sitting around here. Where is my painting? So again, if you are painting along with me, I'm trying to see if my light has corrected itself. So let's see. If you're painting along with me, you've got the illustration in your email if you're on my email list. If you're not on my email list, that's okay. You've got the painting. You can get the painting down below in the description. So Sorry about that. I'm just trying to fix something here. So let's get started. Okay. My colors here. My lighting is just kind of all weird. So here was the handout. And you could print this out on your 5x7 watercolor paper, or you could trace this onto your watercolor paper. You could hold it up to a window and just use a pencil, or if you have a light box, you can transfer it over. So we're going to get going on this and just kind of do a technique I call blobs to blooms. So in my this case, blobs to lemons. So some wet into wet techniques and wet into dry techniques. We're going to use a round brush. Got my round brush here. And see how it comes to a really nice point. I might grab a couple other brushes that are a little bit sharper, but maybe not. We'll see. All right, I'm going to use the colors I'm going to use. I'm going to do a little mixture. I've got some Hansa Yellow Light here. So basically you just need a yellow, a light yellow. Susanna just asked, what kind of printer do you use to print on the thick paper like that? I have two printers, but the printer, it's just a Canon inkjet. Some of this, and it's printed very, very light, so some of that inkjet color might bleed, but it's going to end up bleeding into the painting a little bit. That's why I did it kind of light. If you're doing this technique with a pencil or by holding it up against the window, that you could use anything, you know, a pencil, I would just say a really light pencil. But that's the printer I'm using. Some people, and I set my printer settings to heavyweight paper, and then it prints out. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of sap green down here. I think we're going to play with quite a mixture of different greens and blues. I'm definitely going to get some Cascade Green in here, and because I love it, and maybe some of that Mayan Blue Genuine. Let's see. That's Undersea Green. We'll see. We'll see. Let's play along. I've got a Nickel Azo Yellow here, which is this color. I think that's a really kind of a cool color. Looks like I boogered it up a little bit here. Okay. All right, let's get going and get painting. Got a little schmutz here. We're going to do some wet into wet. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to, let me test that theory. I'm just going to wet my entire painting and see my inkjet. Some of that's going to bleed a little bit. This is a really thirsty paper because it's super like 100% cotton, so super cottony. And I really just kind of want to come in, ooh, look at that, and just do what I'm calling blobs to blooms, okay? This is a technique where I'm just going to be blobbing in big blocks, big honking blocks of color and water. Now, I have a class in my Craft Your Joy classroom called Blobs to Blooms, literally Blobs to Blooms, where I kind of really went into this technique, and it was wet into wet, wet into dry, and we painted violas. So we're going to do a mini version of that class today right here. So you can see how I'm dropping all this water on the entire painting. And I'm just getting it like super wet. And yeah, it's a little bit green stained because my water is. But that's okay. Just really getting a dose of water down. Now, the blob part is, here we go. We're going to go in. I'm using some sap green. Did I put some Cascade Green down? I did. I'm going to use a little bit of sap green, and I'm just going to blob in some sap green around where the leafery is, okay? And now I'm going to show you some of the differences, like with the watercolors. So this is Winsor Newton. You can see that color kind of stayed where I put it. That brand is here's the thing about Winsor Newton. I love it. It's been around since the 1800s. I'm not going to give the history lesson about it. It is predictable and stable. That's like what I would use, some adjectives that I would use. Predictable and stable. Color that kind of does what you want it to do. It's so you can predict what it's going to do a little bit. I'm pulling some of this green out of my lemon area if it kind of bled over a little bit. So I've just blobbed in, just kind of blobbed in a bunch of this green. Just kind of let it do its thing. This can feel kind of scary. And you can see that I'm dancing my brush around. But guess what, friends? We're having fun. We're having fun. Just blobbing in the color. Now I'm going to come over here and grab my yellow. I'm going to do the same thing around the lemons. And I don't care if that yellow mixes in with the green that I have. I don't care. I don't care. It looks a little bit fluorescent-y on the screen. Oh, Dawn, you're telling me the ads are popping in. Okay. I don't know why the ads are popping in. I went in and reset things or tried to look at some of the stuff in the back end to see if I could do that. And I thought I turned them all off, like for the live. But evidently, YouTube is doing its own thing. So I'll go back in and check. But thanks for letting me know that that's happening again. All right, now all this stuff in the middle. See, it's so weird. Like some people are going to see ads and some people aren't going to see ads. That's kind of like a frustrating thing. Now, my channel is monetized, friends, and I think that's not uncommon. Most people really kind of understand that. So, but believe me, you're not making a gajillion dollars off of making much at all off of these YouTube ads. It's really kind of like, okay. But I'm frustrated by them, so I don't like them either. So I will go back and double check why that's showing up again. So we've got this huge blob of color. I'm dancing my brush around here. But what we have done here with this frame, we've kind of done a little color blocking, right? Kind of framed in what we've got going here. Okay, now I'm going to dry this. We're going to get this completely dry. And then we're going to start to go into the lemons and the leafery and add our color detail and do what's called glazing, or you heard me say many times, layering. We're going to layer our next layer of color. We're going to layer our next layer. We're going to apply our next layer of color onto our wreath. And that's where we're going to start to experiment with some of these different greens and different yellows. So, okay. Now, I want to say some things, but you also tip the paper and let it run a little bit. Tip that paper and let it run. This is really wet. And we're going to take a minute. Looky. Ooh, this is taking a bit. Oh, I'm loving the colors. Loving it. Oh, that paper is so wet. Okay, it's getting there. All right, I'm digging it. All right, you can see how those colors were a lot more vibrant when they were wet, but now they've kind of faded back. And that's what happens with watercolor. And now we do have a framework here. We have a color blocking here happening so we know what to paint. Now, with the line art illustration that I provided you, the actual illustration isn't going to disappear in this case. And the reason is it might disappear completely when we start to do our leafery. We're using yellow. It's a pretty light color. I do have some tips on how we can try to make it disappear a little bit more. So let's see what we can do. So we're going to start in. Now this If you're trying this technique at home with this illustration, you have the illustration. If you want to repeat this idea with maybe your stamped images and just kind of use some open line stamped images and create a nice little wreath, you can do that. You can do that very, very easily. Stay over there. Stay over there. Oh boy, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle of the furry wills today. Now, I'm going to come in. We did our base layer. I'm kind of moving things around. Friends, you all know I'm a lefty, so things kind of have to get over here on this side. I'm going to play around a little bit. We've got our base layer in that really bright Winsor lemon. Out of all of the lemon colors, I think in all the different brands, these are probably my two favorites, Winsor Lemon and Hansa Yellow Light from Daniel Smith. I think that they're super bright and super vibrant, and that's why I like to use them. But we're gonna do a little bit of a mixture. We've got a base layer of that color, and now I'm gonna come in and grab a little bit more of the Winsor Lemon and just kind of add another little layer of color. And I'm going in real lightly, just adding and glazing in some more color. You can see I'm just kind of following around, dancing the brush around. Cat just went by, adding in a little bit more color. So it's coming to life. I'm not filling in the whole thing. I'm not like coming in and coloring in the entire thing. My brush is wet, my paper's dry. I'm going to pick up that Winsor Lemon. Let's get that off of there. I'm going to add that in there. So pretty. Also, friends, I didn't say this at the beginning. I need to put some more color down. Holy moly. Not giving myself enough color. Now, I do have all these colors in paint pans, and I could have used that, but today all these colors were sitting on my desk, and I kind of just wanted to play with the tubes. So that's what we're doing. See, I'm just kind of dancing the brush around and adding that color in. Starting with the yellows first, because we're going to come in with the greens and the leafery, and it's going to end up, don't chew on that. It's going to end up going into the yellows a little bit. So this is like really super, showing up kind of super duper fluorescent-y like for me. So I want to check to see if some of this lighting can affect it a little bit. Let me know if you think that looks a little bit better on your screen. And again, and the reason why I'm asking is because I feel like some of the yellows are showing up kind of fluorescent. But that could be my screen because of that whole incident with the blues. So, all right, we've got some yellows down. Now I want to come in and work with this nickel azo yellow, which is a little bit more. One of the really cool things about nickel azo yellow is you can go from like a really, like it's a darker yellow, little skewing kind of brown, but as you add water to it, you can really get it down to a nice warm yellow color. And I'm going to experiment with it a little bit, coming around the edges. I don't want to add a lot of this because our lemons are kind of yellow, right? They're bright, they're happy, but adding a little bit of that color and kind of mixing it in, and playing with it a little bit with the brighter might just give it it gives it a little bit of form. So that's what I'm going for, giving it a little bit of form, and I'm going to change it up as I go around. Isn't that weird, Cheryl? Thank you. On my TV screen, it's very fluorescent, but on my computer screen, it's bright yellow. I find that whenever I'm doing yellows on the channel, I've got some adjustments I need to make. And even after all these years of, I'm pretty techie, you know, friends, I'm pretty nerdy, but even after all these years, I'm still discovering a lot about how things adjust in this studio space, in the space that I'm working in. All right, see, I've got a little bit of that color right there. And it's just kind of adding a little bit more depth to it. It's I kind of washed it away a little bit. Let's add a little bit more. It's adding just a little bit more of an edge. And I'm going back and forth and trying to keep my brush. You can see I'm choked up really, really far on the brush here. I'm trying to keep my brush not too wet, but not too dry. And just let that kind of mix in. See this one, when we get over to here, you can see how we've got some of that lighter yellow, a little bit of a dark, that glazed in yellow, and then we're going to add some on top. We're going to see what that looks like. Let's go around here, and I'm hugging the line of the illustration. And I'm just kind of painting that in and seeing what I get. Okay, friends, clear off my brush. So now I'm just going to blend that out a little bit and move that in just so that line isn't so harsh. Just kind of blend it out. I might need to get a little bit of it and drop it in to those wet areas. So I can add a little bit of water to this area. So this would be wet into wet, dropping a little bit more in, kind of seeing where we are with it. Just kind of letting my brush dance around it. And all the while, notice that I'm not filling in, like I'm not painting the whole shape in, okay? I'm going to just keep flipping around. So by not painting the whole shape each time I add new color, so what you're doing with that is you're allowing the color underneath, that first glazing, that first blobbing that we did of that lemon yellow, to come through as we begin to glaze, layer more color on top of it. And that first layer was that washy layer, right? We blobbed it in a lot of water. Now my brush is wet, paper is dry. I'm going to get some of this Nickel Azo. So I would encourage you, if you have a couple different brands of watercolor in your stash, first of all, friends, I'm going to say it, I'll say it 1,000 times, you don't need multiple brands of watercolor. You just need to find one that you like for the kind of things that you want to do, whether that be paper crafting or otherwise, and then just get to know it and play with it. I'm not liking over here. I'm going to come back to it and see how things work. I am a curious human being, like maybe too curious. Maybe that's why I like cats. I like dogs too, but maybe that's why I like my cats. Because I'm always asking questions. Like I'm very curious how things work. So I became, when I started working with watercolor long ago, I really started becoming very, very curious about different brands and like what they do and what happens if I mix them, and finding my favorite colors along the way. So yeah, fun. All right, picking up some of that Nickel Azo yellow. Now we're getting into some of our bigger lemons over here. I don't have a clue why I picked lemons today. This is an illustration that I did. This was a stamp set with Gina K. I'm pretty sure it's retired. I think it has retired. Yes, it has. This stamp set has retired, but you might have it in your stash. I love how you say, let's go back and fix everything. Yeah, like once things dry, when I say that, let's go back and fix it, it's because once things dry, you might not like what you see, right? Like I'm seeing a hard line over here and a little less blendy than I like it to be. So I'm probably going to come back to it. But I'm liking the way it looks. And, woo, let's get a little drink here. Excuse me. Okay. Coming in. Oh, all the techie fun things today. All right, this little lemon over here has quite a bit of green that bled into it. So she's going to be fun. She's going to be fun to play with. And we are going to add another layer of yellow. I'm going to add some Naples yellow over some of these. We're probably not going to be able to bring back the vibrancy of yellow on here, but that's okay. Because I got some green in her, but that's okay because this is our washy painting. So Oh, Mary, thanks so much. Yep, that's exactly why. So Mary mentioned if we end up doing like 1 p.m. on Eastern, then it interferes with Gina's, and I don't want to do that. And I know I'm pushing close to Gina's time, because I know many of you enjoy watching her videos too. I do too. So when I was doing 12 today, I was like, oh, I really do need to get done, to allow for that. So hopefully we'll get done. We'll get done in time. All right, I'm adding a little bit more nickel azo. I think if I didn't have some of the cat issues I had and some of the tech issues I've had, we would be a little further ahead, but we're not. But that's okay. All right, I'm going to dance my brush around a little bit. And I'm liking what I've got going with the yellow. So I think I'm going to leave it for now. We're going to move on to the leafery. The leafery is going to come together a lot faster because we're going to use the round brush and follow our line work with a brush stroke. So I'm kind of digging the way these lemons, I'm getting really excited and nerdy. Even this one over here that's bothering me a little bit. And even this one that I know I want to add a little bit of something to. But let's move on to the leafery. And friends, I'm going to go back and forth between using Cascade Green. Nope, that's not Cascade Green. Where is it? Permanent Sap Green. Permanent Sap Green is just a great stable green color for greenery. Perylene Green, I'm not going to use it today because everything here is looking a little bit more on the cool to warm side, and this will skew it a lot cooler because of that black that's in there. I want to play with this Cascade Green always. I'm probably going to play with this Sap Green. This Viridian Green is really good. I think I'm going to drop some Mayan Blue into it too. We'll see. Let's see what happens. So this is Sap Green. I can't remember if this is Cascade Green. I can't remember what I put on the palette. I think that's Mayan. I'm not sure. Nope, that's Cascade Green. Holy smokes, friends. Holy smokes. Mary, that's very kind of you to say if I ran into Gina's video, you would run 2 screens. You don't have to do that. That's so sweet. I love lemons too. My front door is a lemon wreath, so I think that's why I get so inspired by lemons. And that's what I wanted to do today. Something bright and yellowy. All right, I'm picking up some Cascade Green. I'm getting quite a bit of it. And I'm just going to start by adding in just some of the basic little line work in the areas where we have our long tail of our lemon. Yep, this was a stamp set, and holy smokes, I can't remember what it was, but so and I should have looked it up, should have grabbed it to show it to you in case you had it. But if you have this stamp set, you will know. Brush is wet, paper is dry. I'm going to use my brush and do this brush stroke so that we're going to cover. See how I wasn't so worried about the line work in the leafery because I'm going to do the brush stroke. And I'll do it on a piece of paper here. I've done this many times. With the brush, holding the brush straight, holding it vertically. You got the tip of it, and you're going to lay your brush down and lift it up and see you can get a nice leafery shape. So see, you don't need the Dagger brush. The Dagger brush is just funsies, right? It's fun. And I do enjoy using it when I want to do something a little bit different. But I'm showing you here how you could just use one brush for this whole entire project. And see how I said the leafery was going to go quicker, and we're going to end up covering up quite a bit of the original illustration because the leafery is going to go super quick because we're kind of using it as a guide for the brush stroke. All right, I'm coming back and just kind of fixing some of the tips here and adding in a little bit of water. And I'm going to go around the wreath and continue to create that shape. I want to pull some of it out because I really want you to see some of that granulating color. Ah! I'm digging it. Loving it. Okay. Let's continue to go around. And while we're going around, I'm going to do a little chat. I haven't used any of the sap green that I said I was going to do. Okay. We'll do that. Maybe we'll do that. Or maybe I'll make that change. Change my mind along the way. Oh, I'm loving that. All right, let's go in and get some sap green. I got a little bit of Cascade green already on my brush. And I'm grabbing some sap green. We're doing this. Sap green is just going to change. Going to make the leafery look a little bit different. And I am kind of doing all of this where we have probably like a our water to paint ratio is more along the lines of it being 100% milk, and I'm going in and adding some water if I want to take some of that darker value away. So tipping my brush. Bye, Cheryl. Take care. No worries. Have a wonderful day and a weekend, everyone. She said, very nice. Okay, I'm going to come in here and just add a little bit more. I am going to run over a little bit, friends. So I'm going to try really hard. That was one of the other things about the timing that we talked about and changing the time that I've always been a little bit hesitant about. But I'm working on it. And I'm also looking at changing some of the days or trying, just trying to see if I can accommodate a little bit more. I need a little more of that Cascade green. And here's why, because I watered it down so much that, I watered it down. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of that Cascade green. And again, I'm working this color, not a lot of water. I've definitely got a 100% milk value to this. So not a ton of water, but I am doing the brush stroke. So you can see along the way where the water, the value of that color changes because there's a little bit more water in there. I'm going to pick this up. My tip is got so much pigment on it. It's kind of digging this, moving my painting around. I'm digging it. Digging it, digging it. All right, from a composition standpoint, some of the leaves are a little bit wild and wonky, but we're going to go in and add, we can always go in and add a little bit more leafery. That little piece of leafery didn't work out too well. Add a little bit more leafery to kind of bring, especially right here. It's not here and here. I want to come around and add a little bit more leafery to kind of bring it in a little more cohesion. Because right now it looks good, but there isn't enough leafery to kind of fill this baby up, right? One of the things I like about the Cascade green is that the color is very much like eucalyptus. Look at that. Eucalyptus color. And sometimes in lemon wreaths, you'll see, I'm picking up sap green right now. In lemon wreaths, you'll see a lot of eucalyptus. So it's just beautiful. All right, we're going to do a little bit more brush strokes. And I'm varying my color here. So I'm using the sap green. I need more sap green. Being a little stingy today with my color. I don't know why. I'm using the sap green and the Cascade green together because you get some variation of color. And I'm just going to work off those stems and just add a few more pieces of leafery in here with my brush. Just kind of see how it's kind of pulling it together a little bit more. And you've got less holes in the design. I am keeping the leafery kind of all going in that direction, the clockwise direction. Mary just said, that's a funny joke. Funny joke. I love that. We're a funny group, aren't we? Okay. Oh, Marilyn just said, Elisa, this is perfection. You inspire me to drop all the bumps in my life and just sit and craft. Oh, even if you're just taking some time that's 5 minutes, little 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, it adds up to a lot of reset in your day. I honestly, friends, I don't always get the time to paint. Like, I don't paint every day. I want to. I want to have a better practice in painting. You can see I'm just adding some more leafery with the sap green, but I don't always have the time because, you know, I have other commitments to other people that I serve and design for, and you know, deadlines and all those things, just like everybody else. I'm moving this around. Loving these leaves. I'm going to add a little bit more here. I'm sticking with the sap green and just kind of rolling around with it. And even though that sap green is just kind of going over some of the cascade green, I'm cool with it. We've got variations in our greenery from light to dark, which I love. And look at where we're kind of taking, layering this color over that cascade green. You can see the leaf underneath it, which is kind of a bonus. So right now, I'm just adding some greens and chatting. Cool. Okay. I'm liking it. I need a little bit here, and I need to do something about this. My eyeball is going to that hole, so we'll spin this around and we'll adjust. Picking up some of this sap green that's kind of got a little bit of a skim milk texture to it. I'm going to add some leafery here and leafery here that's going to lead us down a little bit. Like that piece is leading us down. Let's lead us down a little bit this way. See where that leaf kind of blended, it layered over top of that yellow. Love that. Now here I'm not so worried about, but here I'm going to come in with a little bit of cascade green. Just a little tiny bit of it. Come around and just add a little bit to kind of just bring some of this leafery together. Now, in the leafery parts like this, where it's kind of dry, it looks kind of dry, just add a little water to the tip of your brush. You can kind of just bring it back. I'm not loving what I just did, but I'm okay with it. Now, here, we're going to come back up to this hole. Now, if I go this way with it, it just kind of goes against the grain of what I was trying to do with that clockwise look. So what I'm going to do right now is just pick up some cascade green. I'm going to follow my line here and just do a really big leafery piece right here and just right here, and maybe change my color to sap green and come around and go this way and see if I can kind of bring that together a little bit. And if I don't like it, I don't like it. I don't love it, but here's what we're going to do. So I'm going to stop now. I really feel like I want to put something right now, but what I'm going to do is stop. And I'm going to come back in with my brush. We did our first layer of blob. We did another layer of yellow. I'm kind of liking the way the lemons are coming out, but a couple of them I want to add this Naples yellow. And then we're going to do our finishing piece. I'm going to add a little bit of Naples yellow. Let's see if I can grab a little bit and put it down here. A little bit of Naples yellow. This is, Naples yellow is kind of an opaque yellow. You can see it's a little bit more opaque. And I want to come across and use it for like some detail. I'm just going to come across here and just kind of throw in a little bit of Naples yellow just around some edges of where those lines are. I'm going to come back and blend it, so don't worry. But what I was trying to do is maybe make those, some of those lines of the illustration disappear a little bit. A little bit. Clean it up, clean up my brush. My brush is clean, and now I'm just going to kind of feather my brush, the wet brush, over that Naples yellow and see if it just kind of adds a little something extra to it. Just a little something. It added another depth of color, which I don't mind. I kind of like it. All right, now our final little finishing moment here. I want to soften the edges of, she kind of looks great here, so you could totally stop and be good to go. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of water around my edges. And I'm just going to kind of force some of that color to bleed a little bit and coax it around. Just kind of soften my edges of my leafery and just pull that color out a little bit. You can see it's going to move. You can see how the Winsor & Newton didn't really move as much. That's okay, but it's moving. It's reactivating, and I'm moving it out. Just want to soften those hard leafery edges. So I've got a little bit of softness going on out here and a little bit more of crispness happening on the inside. I'm digging this, and I'm going to leave it the way it is. I could just drop in a little bit of yellow. See how you can just kind of go in and drop some extra colors. You know, let it just kind of do. This would be a great candidate for like adding a little bit of salt. I just want to kind of bleed this out. Just bleeding it out. Ah, people are saying this. Rhonda said this makes her feel like spring. Yeah, I know it's still January, and you know we got a lot more winter to go. But today in Maryland, look, let's check the temperature. It's 44 degrees. That hasn't happened all month. So kind of digging this. I'm going to leave it be. I'm just going to let it dry really quick. I'm going to just dry it up just a little bit. With that water, the way that touched there. I'm feeling a lot better about the leafery and the outer edges. I'm just going to let it be. I'm kind of digging it. So super simple painting. This really, really fun wreath. I love it. I kind of love it. We ran over, friends, and I know many of you are going to just be popping over to Gina's thing, but we're here. I'm going to just show a couple things real quick that I wanted to share that I just recently picked up. Winsor & Newton. So if you're just getting started, Winsor & Newton, remember, I'm not affiliated. I don't get paid to do any of this. I just love working with these two brands. Winsor & Newton has started breaking down their colors into like smaller trial little sets. And like I just picked up a few of them. Rich Earth, there's some really great colors. Like they just started breaking them down into some colors for you to experiment with. And I think it's a really good idea, especially if you're just looking to get like a mix of colors. This set by Daniel Smith is one of my favorites. It's a Jean Haynes Master Artist set. She just, look at all those beautiful colors that are in that set. Cascade Green is in here. That's probably why I love it. And then Winsor & Newton also just came out with this thing. And I linked some of this stuff down below in the supplies. They just came out with this like introductory box at a really good price. It has brushes, it has a whole bunch of stuff in it. I picked it up. Did I need it? Nope. Absolutely did not need it. Was I curious? Yep. And I really wanted to try out some Winsor & Newton brushes. And they also provided a sketchbook in with it. So this was the little watercolor book that came in that we played around in today. So just some fun stuff that's out there. I think some of these watercolor brands are starting to like put some like not reformulate, but put some of their things in different configurations for you to try, right? Like these little trial sets, which are super fun. All right, friends. Thanks so much for joining me today. I know we went over. We tried a little bit of a different time. We had some tech issues. We had a cat running in and out. You know, we're live, and this is what was going to happen, right? So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and I would encourage you to jump on my email list and subscribe to this channel if you're not already subscribed, so that you can get that little notification when I'm going live. And if you subscribe to my email list, that information comes out every week, including a lot of freebies during the month and like the downloads, right? To make it super easy. It just comes to your inbox. And I also would encourage you to take a look at the Craft Your Joy Lab. at craftyourjoylab.com. That's my free community. All of my tutorials are getting from Craft Your Joy Lives are getting posted over there, so you could always just kind of like binge watch them over there if you want to. And I'm also doing a lot of tutorials and content over there that I'm not sharing anywhere else. Okay, friends. Thanks so much, friends. I'm sending you into the weekend to craft your joy. Even though today is only Thursday, I'm taking a look at the comments real quick. Yep. There we go. Everybody's saying goodbye. Beautiful lemons. Remember to give it a thumbs up. Thank you, Marilyn. Yeah, subscribe, give it a thumbs up. Apparently all that stuff matters. And I will try to figure out the ad situation. You love the cat visiting. He's behind the computer right now. He's still here. So, super fun. All right, friends. I'm sending you into the weekend to craft your joy. I know I already said that. I hope you got a lot of value and you had some fun with me today. All right, friends. I will see you next time. And that'll be next week. Be going live on Thursday. I'm not sure what. We're probably going to do a card tutorial. And we're going to be gearing up for the brand new Gina K release that's happening February 11th, and I'm excited about that release. I know I say that every month, but I'm excited. Okay, friends, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.